Hey everybody, David Chang here, founder of The Art of Thinking Smart and The Art of Smart Money. I'm really glad you can join us today, and I'm here with Cortland, and really excited to have Cortland and his partner Steve. And Cortland and Steve have a lot of experience when it comes to picking stocks. Steve was one of the partners of American Funds, one of the largest mutual fund companies in the world, and was ranked one of the top analysts. And Cortland has also managed quite a bit of money as well. And I've teamed up with them to be able to provide really people great stock reports and updates that they could use. And again, a lot of this is very personal to you, so we want to make sure that it fits your goals, your risk tolerance. But what I wanted to do was, you can go and Google stock picks and reports all the time, and you'll get a lot of different types of information. But a lot of times, what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you something and make money. The stocks that we're talking about with some of the clients for WealthBridge, Interlace, we are invested in this. And it's one of those things that, you kind of put your money where your mouth is. And I just want to take a couple minutes to explain why we believe what we put together really blows away a lot of the other reports that you may find or you can Google on the type of research that our team does. And when you see kind of the sample videos that you have access to, you could see, wow, Cortland and Steve, they have so much knowledge when it comes to this, that even when some companies try to finagle the numbers, they can see through that in most cases. So that's one of the great things about what we'll be presenting to you, and you can get more information below about what we're going to provide. Not just a monthly stock report, but updates on the stocks too, to give you an idea of, is the stock doing what we hope and expected it and projected it to do? If so, why? If not, why? And so unlike other stock reports you're going to get, you may just see, here's this thing, we're moving on to the next one. We'll be giving you frequent updates to make sure that, this is a good recommendation based upon how strong the stock is. So I want to briefly talk about the smart stock filter on how do we choose it. There's this joke out there that, monkeys who are throwing darts at a newspaper with stock symbols can do better than professionals. And in some cases they can, because a lot of people aren't, even professionals aren't really doing the work that they need to when it comes to choosing them. And so you'll see that the stocks that Steve and Cortland have chosen since 2009, the inception, has beaten the market in many cases. And even though past performance doesn't guarantee future results, we can't guarantee that. But the way I look at it, I'm a big sports guy. If you know a great player who did very well in the past and everything's looking up for the future, I'm choosing them for my fantasy football team. So this is kind of the way I look at it. And really, talk to us. This is kind of how you have your investment universe of tens of thousands of stocks out there, how you kind of filter it, and you come down to an investment decision. Come on, like, what is this separates us from others?
Right. So, as you say, there are thousands of stocks out there, and they're from small caps to large caps, and there has to be some way to quickly sort through them. You can't look at all of them individually. So we have several different ways that Stock Ideas would get into our filter, and that's where we start to apply some of our insights, some of our hard-won experience in the market to those individual stocks to keep narrowing it down. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to own thousands of stocks. That's just a mutual fund. We don't want to own hundreds of stocks. That's a mutual fund. We want to own something a little bit more concentrated, where we know what's in there.
And manageable too. Right.
Yep.
Got it.
So we'll start with a couple different areas. Three main ones would be our proprietary screening criteria. Right. So we spent a lot of time looking at stocks, thinking through the metrics that really matter, that impact the valuation of a company, that can give you a sense of whether or not it's a strong company with a strong competitive position, strong management, it's operating in a favorable industry environment or climate. That can all be reflected in certain quantitative financial metrics. So we've developed those through our own experience, and then we've back tested them over several decades using some of the financial software we have to go back and see if our hypothesis was actually valid. And that's what we've used over time to refine these screens. And that's not the end and be all. We don't just buy whatever comes out of the computer. That's just a starting point. So that gives us from thousands to maybe hundreds of stocks.
Wow, okay, got it.
We also have the second way to get things into our filter would be the proprietary network and contacts. So these are people that we know in the industry. They may be working for suppliers of larger companies. They may be at the end of the supply chain or the beginning of the supply chain. They may be companies that are developing semiconductors in Taiwan that will eventually end up in Apple's products. But if you can get a sense of what's happening in the inputs of a product, you can get a sense of the end demand before it shows up in the financial numbers. So we have that contact that will look, will mine for ideas.
Sure.
And then there's also the big macro themes or ideas. Sometimes you'll get a sense that fixed income just is not the place to be right now for whatever reason. It's just a bad time to be in it. Something's going to happen with interest rates. Or gold seems like a great idea, but it's at a bubble valuation. It's not something we want to own. Or housing has just been hammered so hard that now is a time to buy it. This is the bottom of the cycle. Those can also influence us or cue us to go out and look for companies in those industries. And that's once we've got companies from an industry that looks attractive, or companies from a supply chain that look attractive, or companies that have come out of our screening system, then we start running through the filter, and that's really testing, is this really a good company? We dig into the numbers, we look over longer periods of time, and really have to look through the numbers, because there can be a lot of ways to manipulate your earnings. People will only focus on earnings per share and net income. Management knows that, and the ones that have a vested interest in keeping their stock price up will manipulate those numbers legally, but it's still manipulation. It's a short-term Band-Aid, and then it's just masking a long-term problem. So we need to look at these different criteria here. Is it part of a growth market? Is there at least some potential for, if it's to grow in the future? Is it a new product? Is it a cyclical industry that has a future? It's not going away. That can give us a sense of whether it's a growth market. If the company has pricing power and strong margins, that just means that it's got a product people want. It's not the day after Christmas discount sale. Everything's 90% off. Nobody wants this stuff. Buy it at any price. We tend to stay away from those companies. Commodity companies where there are multiple people all making the same thing. Those aren't very interesting. There's just no way to price your product. Now we'll look for recurring revenues, because selling something one time, it's nice, but in order to keep growing, you've got to keep selling, keep selling, keep selling. So we like to see recurring revenue streams, service contracts, parts. It's kind of the inkjet or razor blade model. If you want to keep using my product, you have to keep coming back to me. And we'd like to see that. That gives you a little more predictability, stability. Investors like that. Companies tend to have better valuations if they have that kind of safety or reliability of earnings. And then that plays right into volatility. If it's a company that doesn't have recurring revenues, it'll report gigantic sales. Some of the biotech stocks, you can see this sometimes, will have tremendous results one quarter, and then a competing drug comes out and nobody buys their product anymore. That just sends the stock all over the place. That's very hard to make a sound investment in those kinds of stocks. So we look to make sure the stock isn't too volatile. And then there's a number of attractive valuation is what we look for. We've developed a number of metrics that really key into the underlying value of a company, what it would be worth several years from now. We want to take the idea that we'll be in this stock for a while. We're not day traders. We're not in and out. We're not racking up taxes and transaction fees. We're buying, and then we're waiting for our thesis to develop over time. So we need an attractive valuation. And if it's a great company, but it's a bad price, it's still a bad investment. So we need that finance.
And an important thing to note is it could be a great company, but also the timing could be off too. And so that's kind of where all of this looks at. You could just see how intense this is. And I recently had a podcast interview that with Arthur Lipper. And Arthur Lipper is the founder of the Lipper Mutual Fund Performance, very, very well known. He was the first person to start the stock mutual fund index. And part of my question was, what is your recommendation to investors? And he goes, for individual investors, number one recommendation is that they don't pick stocks unless you have the time and knowledge to do all of this. And really what we've done here is to be your research team where, this proprietary screening, you could tell they back test this to years, and they have quite a bit of sophisticated software. We're working together on doing this. And even with some companies who do this, they don't win all the time, but at least the track record has been great for them, which I'm super excited about. So this is kind of the smart stock filter of how they get all the stocks and they break it down, and there's a lot of things that they look at. And what we're doing as part of our stock reports to make it easy for people to understand, because it's all Greek to me, as what some people say, is that we're breaking this down in video, talking about it. We have a glossary that goes in depth, and each of the reports are broken down into the executive summary. What do we say is the bottom line up front? So, as being a West Point Army guy, we always say, what is the bottom line up front? What is a so what to me? And we want to get that immediately. And then back up that so what with the data. So we have the executive summary, what we think of this company, why we should buy it, sell it, keep it, hold it, whatever. And then describing the company of what does it do. Warren Buffett says, if you can't, in a simple terms, tell somebody what a company does, don't buy it. And Cortland and his team have done a great job. If you've seen some of our members already have access to this, and just say, this is what this company does, this is how they make money. Then we look at the investment thesis. The investment thesis is, do we buy it? Why or why not? And then when. That's very important too. Again, timing, day traders out there, 95% of them make money, and we're not promoting anything day trading, but we do tactical analysis of saying, it's not a matter of trading this second, but it's a matter of, here is a good valuation at this particular time. We believe buying it, or a half position, full position. We're going to go over that with each and every one of you, and I want to make sure that you have to make sure that this fits your investment philosophy. Then we look at the company financials. That's very important. How much money is, price to earnings, price to sales. We'll describe all of that to you, and you can see in some of the videos, Cortland goes very in depth on that, right? Then the valuation. We value it through fundamental analysis, through technical analysis. There's all these different types of how, and it's incredible how you do it. And you even will have access to Steve talking about how he goes through and screens each of these. And then we look at the shareholders of the company, because we want to see who's buying it. Are other really big companies, firms, insiders, CEOs, executives of the company buying it? Are they selling it? What are they doing? So we go very in depth on each one of these, and that's how we provide these stock analysis and updates to you. So we're really excited to be presenting this. This is something that, I've been in this finance industry for 2 decades now. Cortland and Steve, combined, I think it's quite a few years. And what we want to do is help people make better financial decisions. And instead of giving you something that we can just make money off of, is something to say, hey, you know what, let's make money together on analysis that we've done, really help people out there take advantage of the expertise, and that's what technology does. That's why we're able to do this, is we're able to record this from a camera, upload it to a website, and really for pennies on the dollar, our clients pay us literally tens of thousands of dollars for this advice, and for pennies on the dollar, you're able to have access to this and be able to really take advantage of the institutional type of knowledge that they have and what we bring. So thank you so much. I really hope that you saw the value added that we have. I'm really excited, and we're really looking forward to working closely with you. And for our Art of Smart Money members, we go even more in depth on looking at financial planning, of making sure that we look at the different types of strategies, how to implement it, how to look at your investment portfolio. We go through all of that. So very excited that we could start here with the stocks, and excited that you can be with us. Thank you again, Cortland. Really appreciate it. All right, thanks.